Hey there. Welcome to CyberPulse by Quantum Shield, the podcast where we make cybersecurity less intimidating and a lot more exciting. Every episode, we're diving into the latest digital drama, from sneaky hackers to the coolest defense strategies, all while sharing tips you can actually use. So grab a coffee, get comfy, and let's navigate this crazy digital world together.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into some seriously important stuff today. Cloud computing security risks.
Yeah, we're talking about the stuff that everyone who uses tech, so basically everyone should be aware of.
Right, because let's face it, we're all using the cloud, whether we realize it or not.
Exactly. From our phones to our favorite streaming services, it's all up there. And to be honest, going through these research reports, there's a lot of technical jargon, but our goal today is to cut through that and get to the heart of what really matters for you. And what we found is that it's not just about those scary data breaches you hear about in the news. It's about understanding how things like misconfigurations in the cloud can actually open the door to those breaches in the first place.
Yeah, it's like leaving your front door unlocked. You might have a top-of-the-line security system, but that one oversight completely undermines it.
Perfect analogy. So let's break down those four main risks that our sources kept emphasizing. Data breaches, obviously, but also misconfigurations, insider threats, and loss of control. Let's start with data breaches. What are we talking about here?
Okay, so a data breach, in the simplest terms, is when unauthorized individuals gain access to sensitive information stored in the cloud. Think personal data, financial records, proprietary company information, the kind of stuff that can really hurt if it falls into the wrong hands.
And these breaches, they're not just hypothetical, right? These are happening all the time.
All the time. Remember that massive breach a few years back involving that hotel chain? Millions of customer records compromised because of a misconfigured database.
Okay, so that's a good segue into our next risk misconfigurations. What exactly does that mean in the context of cloud security?
So imagine the cloud, like a giant data center with countless servers, applications all interconnected. A misconfiguration is basically like a setting that's not properly set, leaving a vulnerability that attackers can exploit.
So almost like leaving a window open in that data center.
Exactly. And the scary thing is, these misconfigurations often happen because of human error. Someone sets up a system incorrectly, forgets to update a security setting, and boom, you've got a potential breach on your hands.
Right, and it seems like even small mistakes can have huge consequences.
Absolutely. There was a case, I think it was last year, where a major tech company left a database containing millions of user records completely open on the internet because of a single misconfigured setting. Anyone with a bit of technical know-how could have accessed it.
That's alarming, to say the least. So we've got data breaches, misconfigurations, and then there's this whole other layer, insider threats. This one feels a bit more, I don't know, personal somehow.
Yeah, insider threats are tricky because they involve someone within an organization, an employee, a contractor, abusing their access privileges for malicious purposes.
So we're talking about disgruntled employees, corporate espionage, things like that.
Exactly, and it can be intentional, like in cases of sabotage or data theft, or unintentional, like accidentally emailing a confidential file to the wrong person.
And these insider threats, they can be really hard to detect, right? Because the person already has legitimate access to the systems.
Exactly. It's not always about hacking in from the outside. It's about someone on the inside abusing their privileges.
Which leads us to that final risk factor, loss of control. What are the implications of essentially putting our data in someone else's hands?
That's a big one. When you move your data to the cloud, you're trusting a third-party provider to keep it secure. But you're also relinquishing some level of control over that data. Where is it physically stored? Who has access to it? What happens if the provider has a security breach of their own? These are all important questions to consider.
It's a trade-off, right? The convenience of the cloud versus the potential risks. But it sounds like knowledge is power here. The more informed we are about these risks, the better equipped we are to mitigate them.
Absolutely. And that's where the concept of regular assessments comes in.
Yeah, our sources kept mentioning that.
It's not enough to just assume that the cloud provider has it all handled. We need to be proactive in asking questions, doing our own research, understanding how our data is being protected.
So if I'm using a cloud service, what are some practical things I can do? What kind of questions should I be asking?
First and foremost, check their security track record. Have there been any past incidents? What measures did they take to address them? Look for transparency in their security practices. Don't be afraid to dig into their policies. Understand how they handle data encryption, access controls, and incident response.
So it's really about due diligence, just like you do before making any major decision.
Exactly. And remember, it's your data, your privacy. You have the right to demand transparency and accountability from your cloud provider.
This has been incredibly insightful, but let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the practical impact of all this. Our sources talked about the impact on confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Let's break those down. What do they actually mean for everyday users?
Sure, so let's start with confidentiality. This is all about ensuring that your data remains private and protected from unauthorized access. Think of it as the digital equivalent of keeping your personal diary under lock and key. Only authorized individuals should be able to view or access sensitive information.
And integrity, that seems pretty straightforward.
Integrity is all about ensuring that your data remains accurate and unaltered. Any unauthorized modifications, whether intentional or accidental, could have serious consequences, especially when it comes to things like financial transactions or medical records.
It's about trusting that the information you're accessing is accurate and hasn't been tampered with.
Precisely. And then we have availability, which is crucial in today's hyper-connected world.
Right, because what good is our data if we can't access it when we need it?
Exactly. Availability ensures that your data and the services you rely on are accessible whenever you need them. Downtime and disruptions can be incredibly costly, both in terms of productivity and potentially even your safety, depending on the service affected.
It's a good reminder that cloud security isn't just about protecting data, but also about ensuring that the services we rely on are reliable and always available. This has been a pretty intense deep dive, but I think it's so important for us to be having these conversations.
I agree. The cloud is incredibly powerful and convenient, but like any technology, it comes with inherent risks. By understanding these risks, asking the right questions, and demanding better security practices, we can all contribute to making the cloud a safer and more secure place for everyone.
So next time you're about to hit that accept button on a cloud service, take a moment to pause and think, what information am I sharing, and am I comfortable with how it's being protected? That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks for hanging out with us on CyberPulse. Remember, cybersecurity doesn't have to be scary. It's all about staying sharp and a little bit savvy. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't let those cyber gremlins get you down. Catch you next time, and until then, stay safe, stay smart, and keep crushing it online.